Hello, friends. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful that you're joining in on this beautiful journey that we're going to do together. We're first going to go through some nice theory about the power of the mind and the heart, but then together also kind of bundling our forces to manifest not just a better life for ourselves, but a better and brighter world, basically, right? So, as most of you already know, we have such a great power within, and our mind and our emotional state in such a great way reflects back into our physical system. If we are having some negative thoughts or maybe thinking and worrying about something, it's just a thought about something, but it will reflect back into our physical system. Maybe the heart rate goes up, or maybe even if it's a really worrisome thoughts, maybe adrenaline is being released. Maybe we get very hot, or our breathing pattern starts to change. We tense up our shoulders. Maybe when we have a very pleasant thought, a happy thought, we start to smile and we start to release maybe endorphins, and our whole body goes into a state of more relaxation and joy. Just because of a thought. And if we look at it also, the amount of doctor visits, for example, these are facts from the World Health Organization itself, that about 70 to 90% of the doctor's visits are psychosomatic, are stress related, have something to do with our state of mind. Those numbers are huge, right? You know, so when they do trials for testing medicine, they always use also placebo. And we look at placebo, well, you know, that's just a little something that happens as a side effect, placebo, but the real medicine is the real cure. But this is a Harvard study that about 30 to 60% of patients in clinical trials, they improve with placebo, even if they know that they are taking a sugar pill. These numbers are huge, right? 30 to 60% of people improve from their symptoms when taking a placebo. So this is something that hopefully we can really dive into as humanity, to dive into that power that we have, that you have, that I have, to start taking control of our own mental, physical, and emotional well-being, right? And there are some beautiful ancient techniques for this in the traditions of yoga and qigong, many other beautiful traditions that can help us to have some techniques that we can do every day to start to clear our mind, to open up our heart, to take maybe some impurities out of the heart or some unresolved emotions that we just allow to feel, to come up and to process them. That will help us so much to manifest, first of all, a better body in terms of being healthy, but also it will reflect back into the relationships that we have. It will reflect back into our financial situations. It will reflect back into the people that we attract and the situations we attract. It will reflect back in all situations in our life, right? Our state of emotions and our state of mind, it kind of radiates out into our body, into our relationship, into situations in our life. We manifest with that energy our life in a great way. And this is hopefully a power that we can really start to tune into, that we can start to manifest a better life, but also together a better world. Because the state of the world is just a reflection of all the individual states of our being. If there's in the world a lot of people with a lot of anxiety, with a lot of depression, with a lot of negativity, this will reflect back into the state of the world also. If there is a lot of people, a lot of light, a lot of joy, a lot of like the light of their spirit is shining out, that state will reflect back into our life. And unfortunately, we grow up in an environment where it's very easy to get triggered into states of anxiety, where we're constantly being almost fed things to be negative about, things to worry about, things to have a, let's say, a very low energy vibration of maybe shame or guilt or fear, all these states. And unfortunately, we learn nothing about this in schools. How can you raise your energy? How can you raise your vibration? How can you get yourself into a state where you feel a sense of connection, a sense of joy, a sense of light? And this light, this pure light at the source of our being, this light of consciousness, some would call it the Krishna consciousness or the Christ consciousness, or just your pure source. That's something that hopefully we can learn to tap into so that it can reflect back and shine into all aspects of our life, right? Friends, everybody follows, thumbs up if you do. Okay, if there's some questions, let me know in the chat, okay? Then we can go through them later on in the session. So, as I mentioned before, unfortunately, at least for the past generations and this generation, we learn not so much about learning to control and to heal and to balance our own emotional system and our mental system. We learn very well in schools all sorts of facts about the outer world, about mathematics and science and geography and language, etc. But very little about our inner world, our inner language. And slowly this is changing, and I believe that through your work, hopefully also, and my work, that together we can start to, by bringing these techniques and healings into our own life, to kind of inspire the people around us as well to start doing these things. I think when I started yoga about 25 years ago, and maybe for a lot of you also, it was all looked upon as a little bit weird, like yoga, who would make fun of it. But it worked really for me. And I have many other friends now also that practice yoga. And I have had some other friends that started doing maybe things with meditation or mind training, and they were also looked upon a bit weird, but they just kept doing it, and people around them saw like, hey, this stuff is actually working. And they got inspired to do that. And the other people around them got also inspired to do that. So it's like a ripple effect that starts to go. And I think the greatest thing that we can do now for the world is, of course, helping people around us, etc., and being there for others, but also very much to start to ignite that light within our own soul. That you, every one of you, and myself as well as each individual, that we can start to every day take some time to get to our source and to recognize like, hey, that sense of connection, that sense of purity, that sense of light, that godly Christ consciousness that is already within. Okay, let me connect with it, let me feel it, so that it starts to shine out into our whole being, so to say, that everything that we do has that fragrance of that light in it. And by doing so, if millions of people, if billions of people start to do that, that's how we can brighten up the world. Not because some politicians will change the world, or some politics will change, or this or that. It's the real change will happen from within. And slowly more and more people, like yourselves as well, start to wake up to this call, basically, of your source, to start to shine light into the world, right? So, friends, we have work to do then, right? To, just like brushing your teeth every day, you take good care of your mouth hygiene so that your teeth will be nice and clean, that your smell would be good also for the people around you, and that you don't have to suffer from toothache, all these things. And this is then also something, hopefully, that you can learn as well to do every day, to take some time to clear the mind, clear the emotional system so that your life will be so much more joyful and free. All right, friends. So I have some questions for you to write down, and this will help us to get more clear what it is we want to manifest. And then we will do some nice breathing and mind setting together. And just to explain what we're going to do, when we're going to write these questions down, we want to really start to feel it. So it's not just about with the mind. When I ask for example, the question, what kind of state do you want to cultivate within yourself? And you write down, well, I want to feel more joyful, I want to feel more at peace, and I want to feel loved. Okay, that's all with the mind. But can we start to feel it with the heart? That it start to radiate something, right? So write down for yourself what kind of qualities within, what kind of state do you want to cultivate more in your life? And for some, you can also share sometimes in the chat some of your answers. Always nice to hear what others feel and think. But hopefully this is something then, now you have that clear for yourself, that you can train yourself to find within. Because a lot of times we try to look outside of ourselves for appreciation, or for love, or for a sense of fulfillment. And outside of ourselves, we think if I'm just gonna buy this, or when I have gonna have that type of relationship, or when that person says how much they like me or think I look beautiful, then I'm gonna have a little moment where I can feel it. This is a little bit like the story of a prince, of the beggar that it was actually a prince, right? The story of somebody who was begging on the street and he was sitting on a beautiful big box. He was always begging, begging, begging for people to give them a little bit of money until somebody asked them, hey, have you ever looked inside that box? And the box was actually full of gold. But like that, a lot of us also go through life. We're looking for appreciation. We're looking for some words of love. We're looking for some fulfillment outside of ourselves when it's all already within. Right? Beautiful. So then the next question is, in an ideal world, try to describe for yourself an ideal world. Would it be more in connection with nature, that people would be more also in connection with their heart and their emotional system? Or would it be maybe a world where there would be a lot of advanced technologies, but also a balance with nature, and everybody was just living in peace and are more joyous and have used the full capacity of their mind? Describe the most positive outlook that you can have if everything would go the best way possible. How would the world look like? And then the most important thing, not necessarily how would it look like practically, but more trying to envision what kind of state would people be in, what kind of feeling, what kind of, let's say, frequency of their state are they in. Are people very bright? Are people in an enlightened state? Are people very compassionate and loving and kind and creative? Because sometimes in life, also when we do personal manifestation things, we have a very clear idea with the mind how our life would look like we would have this type of house and we have that type of work and that kind of relationship. But we're trying to look for how do we want to feel. So maybe we want to feel safe, we want to feel appreciated, and we want to feel loved, for example. And that's the thing that we look for. And maybe life has a whole other way of giving you that state. Maybe it's in a very different place with a very different person, or maybe it's alone. But maybe life wants to give you that state, but in a very different form. So maybe also the shape, how we want to shape our world, maybe it's not exactly the way we envision it with the mind, but we want to create that state in people, the state where people feel connected and have really manifested also their full capacity to create, to let this life of creation, this light of consciousness, this Christ consciousness, to let it flow into life. So this is something so good for ourselves also, to feed this envision that we have. A lot of times, if I like watching movies sometimes, but a lot of the movies that are about the future, they are all about that one day we will all destroy ourselves and there's a couple of people left, and very dystopian. And people kind of love to watch it because our brain loves maybe potential danger. It's wired. It's potential danger is much more interesting than when everything is good. But as a society, sometimes we keep feeding ourselves with this negative vision of the future. So if I talk now sometimes to people and especially teenagers, younger people, their idea of the future is just, well, we're gonna destroy it anyway, so we might as well just fully live life because everything is going to hell anyway. That kind of mentality, and that becomes very pessimistic and very disempowering, because we can create. We have all the technologies, we have all the capabilities. Everything is there to manifest a better world, but all we need is that mindset of it's possible. Let's do it. Let's go for it, right? So to feed yourself with this positive outlook, to feed your mind, to envision a bright, beautiful future, to not to feed your mind too much with the news. Maybe just stop watching the news at all, or stop feeding with a lot of the negativity that is happening in the world. For sure, be there present for maybe the negativity around you, so to say. If people need help, if you can actually help them directly, do that for sure. Put your good energy into brightening up the world. But don't feed yourself with things that you can do nothing about, and you get frustrated and leave you with a very low energy, so to say, of frustration, anger, those kind of things, right? So, hopefully you can do that.